So I'm out testing the DJI Pocket 2 again today, since it's gotten up in temperature quite a bit. The last few days it's been down around minus 10 or so in the day, which is supposedly below the operating temperature range of this device. So it's around 0 or +1 right now and nice and sunny, so I figure it should be safe to use. That's its lower operating range, supposedly, is 0 centigrade or 0 centigrade, I think it is. Anyhow, it's a nice sunny day, so I thought I'd give it a shot, see how things look. Just using the in-body microphones today, and there is quite a wind, so it may not sound so great. Just heading up from our house into the old pit area. As I mentioned, a nice blue sky with scattered high clouds. We'll head up into the woods here and see how the Pocket 2 handles the transition from bright sun out here to deep shade, or fairly deep shade. It's actually fairly bright when you get into the woods. How does it do on close-up? Supposedly it can go to about 8 inches or 20 centimeters. Try the zoom here. See how that looks. Here's our big rock pile left over from the pit days. Big bulldozer must have moved these out of the area of the pit and just throwing them here in the woods. These are probably 2,000-pound boulders sitting here. This trail goes up through some of our larger eastern hemlocks. Here's one that's probably about 80 feet tall, with about a 4-foot wide base on it. Luckily, some of these were left from the tree cutting days. Quite a few of our hemlocks are dying though, and I don't know if it's the hemlock adelgid disease that's killing them or what it is. Here's one of the large hemlocks that fell over a few years back, and I haven't yet cleared it off the trail. It doesn't really bother me that much, but just an example of some of the big ones. Here's a big specimen here with 3 trunks going up. Heading up West Pines Trail through the red pine stand on the west side of the property. These trees are probably 70-80 feet tall, and I believe they were planted in the 50s. Fairly narrow bunch of rows here, only about 4 or 5 rows of them. They put up the west side, I assume, for a windbreak or something, but as the detail in the bark, I'm probably getting a bit close here, but somewhere in here should be the range. What did you see, Luna? What do you smell? What do you smell, Luna? I think Luna smells a coyote. When she smells them, she gets mad. Guess it's another dog invading her territory. She doesn't seem to care about the smells of the other animals, rabbits and deer and so I debated about what camera to get for this kind of recording for quite a while. Basically, to get a good light camera that has good stability, good clarity, good color, and it's obviously mainly a choice between this and an action camera. And certainly in a lot of ways an action camera would be better because they don't have gimbals to worry about. Gimbals are pretty delicate pieces of equipment, I realize. But I guess my intent with this one is to probably be taking it pretty slow for the most part when I'm using it, just on these walking, hiking trails and for other general shooting type stuff, but not to be riding on my bike with it or jumping over cliffs with it and that kind of stuff. In that case, an action camera would certainly be a better bet, and that's probably why most people get action cameras or may have both types of cameras. Now, I could have also gotten a gimbal for one of my larger cameras, but then you're stuck carrying this fairly large piece of equipment around with you, whereas this little Pocket 2 thing is like just a small little item. I'm not sure, I forget what its weight is, but it's pretty insignificant and much easier to carry. You can put it in your pocket, slip it in its case and put it in your pocket. You can also be talking 1 minute like this, and then I can hit the button to flip the gimbal around. And there we are. Facing forward, I can lock the tilt at that angle, so even when I bend it down, so now I've got the unit parallel to the ground, but it's still shooting directly forward because I've locked the tilt. That's one of its modes it has in the gimbal, is tilt locked. It also has a follow mode and an FPV mode. and you'd have to read more about those. It's basically just, I think, how quickly it moves with your actions. But right now, the body of the unit is parallel to the ground, but the lens is facing directly forward. So that's a neat little feature. You don't always have to have it held upright, but here I'll bring it upright. And as you can see, the general view is still the same forward, even though I'm holding the body of the unit upright now. Here I've got the unit set to follow mode, so I can actually turn or have the head of the gimbal facing downwards. Because if I had left it on tilt locked facing upwards, it would still be facing upwards like it was in the last segment. But here I just thought I'd take a picture of my boots going back and forth. Great content, I'm sure, but just to let you know that can be done quite easily. There goes Luna, ripping off after something again. It's a beautiful afternoon right now. The sun is out shining on the snow. Just a nice 0 degrees or maybe 1 degree temperature. Nice, not too cold. Pleasant compared to what we've been having for the last week. Zoom into Luna here. There she is. Has a little zoom on it. Here's a small little field area at the back of the pit. Is getting a little growing in on the right side here with poplar and birch. But I'm trying to maintain this north side as a field. It's very small. It's only about a quarter of an acre maybe. But it's amazing in the late summer, all the flowers in there, and you get all kinds of butterflies and insects feeding in there, so it's kind of nice to have the diversity of habitats. So sometimes you have to do a little maintenance, for example, to keep trees out of there, or mainly young pine trees that just grow so fast when they start. And I'm not adverse to having pine trees growing, but here in the sandy soils they're just filling in from the plantation. And they can fill in an area quite quickly. Here's my little bird feeder I have out here. And the red poles and the chickadees and woodpeckers and nuthatches like this one. Little red pole right there. Very bright out here, but beautiful. Battery life seems to, according to the indicator, seems to be going down pretty quickly. Now I've only charged it twice, I guess, and it hasn't been fully discharged yet. So I may be hoping that if I fully discharge it and then fully recharge it and do that a few times, maybe the battery life gets better. I don't know if it does, but according to the icon on the screen, which is pretty hard to see in the bright light, but it does seem to be going down fairly quickly. Gonna head around to the east side of the big hill in the pit. We've got about a foot of snow on the ground, which has accumulated over a number of snowfalls gradually since Christmas time. Prior to that, we had virtually no snow for any length of time. So it is getting a little trickier, or a little more tiresome to walk when you get off the trails, just because you're trudging through that much snow. Although it is getting a little packed down on the under layers. Now right here I'm jerking a lot because I'm breaking through a bit of ice layer on the bottom there, so see how the gimbal handled that. Just a time, at least with my old iPhone 8 Plus, which isn't that old, but it's a few years old, I guess. And I find when I do videos like this, it's pretty good, but with every jerk of the foot, I find in the video it certainly does jerk things and makes pixelation occur where the jerks occur. And I found just in my review of the various articles such as this one, between this and the GoPro and other more advanced phones, I guess, is that the stability now is so much better handled in these units. That was one of my main reasons for wanting to get this item, just to get my stability improved. And through here, I can feel my whole body basically falling a few inches with every step because the underlayers are giving way with my weight as I go. Anyhow, here's the big hill in the middle of the pit. I'm just panning over to it here. And then they gouged out this section I'm in, and here's a section on the east side of the pit that would have been a buffer zone where they couldn't excavate beyond because there's a highway just on the other side of this pine tree ridge here. And they planted the pine trees because there was a lot of dust flowing out of here when the high winds occurred in the summertime. As we head down to the north end of this cutout area, you can see the south facing slopes here are actually devoid of snow. That's because they get so much sun every day. It tends to warm up here more so than anywhere else, so it just gets free of snow quicker than anywhere else. And all through the winter this sometimes remains bare, because even when we get snow, it falls there and then you get a day of sun or two and it's gone. So we're going to climb up here. There's Zoe at the top. So hopefully I can get up here without sliding or using both hands. I don't want to have to fall on this thing, because unlike a typical action camera, it won't take that for sure. This slope is a little greasy. Oh, it's definitely, as you can see here, very greasy. My foot just slipped, so I may have to put this thing away. It's a lot more clay-like than I thought it would be. If I can get up to this pine tree branch, I can probably use it to hold on to. Geez, steeper than I remembered it being. Probably a 40-degree slope or so. Geez, it's really greasy. There must be some clay in there. There we are. There we are. And there's where we just came from. Geez, that's a workout. There's the central pit hill with the sun gleaming off of it. Just walking back along this ridge trail. We call it the haunted trail. cleared it out a few years ago to make it walkable. Basically just cutting off the lower red pine branches through this small plantation up on the ridge. Heading down the driveway here, southwesterly towards the sun. There's the old pit from up in this angle. Hey Piper, how are you? How's Piper doing, eh? How's little Pipe doing? Hey Pipe! Hey Pipe, how are you? How are you, Pipe? Hey? Yes. Yes, you're a good one, aren't you? You're a good one. And there's Colby. There's big Colby. Hey Colby. Hey Colby, how are you? How are you, Colby? Oh, you're all wanting the attention, eh? Hey, yeah. Hey, no biting now. No biting. No biting. I know. I'll get you some more hay.